Okay, well, welcome for this evening's adventure. Happy Beltane season. We have begun the light half of the year, according to the Celts. So maybe we can shed some light on these questions. But let's start with our opening ritual, beginning with the cleansing and attunement. I've preferred more and more to think of this as an attunement more than like cleansing stuff. I mean, the cleansing's important, but what we really want to do is attune ourselves and harmonize ourselves, with our internal purpose and also with whatever might be around us. Get us all harmonized. I turn to the west. Hail to the spirits that ride the west wind, you who come with all that we've learned in the past, the foundation of our new vision. Come and join with us in our explorations tonight. And I turn to the north. Hail to the spirits that ride the north wind. You who come out of the dark, bring your courage to us, so that we have the courage and the will to enter into these explorations. Come, join with us. And I turn to the east. Hail to the spirits that ride the east wind, you who come at the dawning of the day with the opening eye of the sun. Come and reveal to us what has been hidden in the dark. Come, join with us in our explorations tonight. And I turn to the south. Hail to the spirits that ride the south wind, you who bring us the winds of music, of poetry and song, that we might tell our tales and sing our part of the great song. Come and join with us. And I turned here to the center, where I stand, where we stand, the center of each of our worlds. We thank you for your hospitality and ask that we be attuned and aligned with the true source of this life that we share. Father Sky, Mother Earth, ancestors, nature spirits, people of the Fae, all of us warmed by the great spirit fire. May you find this sweet. Hooray, hooray, hooray. We are here, in this place now. Clay and water from the earth, sun and wind from the heavens, a divine home for soul, abiding at the center of our being, in the center of the worlds, on the threshold to the horizonless other world. We are here in this place now, and it is good. Okay. Again, welcome. Tonight might be intense, or not. I mean, who knows? Who knows what they have in store for us? Because what we're talking about, of course, as you know, is the Grail, commonly called the Holy Grail. And in my little essay, I really tried to make the point that what we have now in terms of the Arthurian tales about the Grail is just like one chapter in a much longer book, and that this whole concept of the life-giving Grail, as far as we know, goes back at least as far as the legends about the women of the wells, and that were everywhere. It was part of what's been called the Fairy Accord, and it was about a harmonious relationship that humanity had with the fairy folk, and of course then with nature. And that in the stories, any traveler that happened upon these wells were met with a fairy woman with gold and silver cups and utensils, and would feed whatever the person wanted, and so it's as it would as it would ideally be in the relationship between nature and us, humanity. Nature provides for what we want, and so as you probably read in the essay, as things happened, and some king lusted after more, and so he assaulted and kidnapped the fairy woman and her gold. And then, of course, the rest of his kingdom did the same. And then that broke the accord. It's like the fall from grace. It's another version of the fall from grace story. And that we've sort of lived with that break ever since. And it's especially, look at our politics today. Now, if there isn't a break of the fairy accord, I don't know where else we'd find it. It's so evident and so obvious. So I'm going to tell you a story, and it's one that you've heard some version of it. There's so many versions of the Grail stories. These are medieval stories, I think, written down in the 12th century. Some of them were. But there are all kinds of stories and extra like detours off the main road of the story. So what I'll be saying, I'll be telling a version of it, and because there's so many versions of it, I guess I have a lot of poetic license. And so, if you've heard other versions, don't worry about it. Tonight, mine is true. And when we're finished, it's not. So, But my main point here is to keep in mind the fact that the story about this life-giving Grail precedes the Christianization of it. That's not to deny either ideology by any means. It's just that it did not begin with the crucifixion and the Last Supper. So as I say, it began, as far as we know, back in the time when the wells were the life-giving grails, and cauldrons were kind of the melting pot, the things that food would be cooked. Food would be cooked in to make it palatable, and then all the other legends about magical grails, as I described, and then even to the point of the three cauldrons of the soul that I described in there. And by the way, that article that I gave you the reference for in the Society for Shamanic Practice, if you want a still longer version of that, just let me know. I've got it. That was an abridged for popular consumption, for a more shamanic audience. So keep in mind, as I said, that there's a soul to the body that is the story here. So, all of that preface. This is about Parsifal and the Grail. And so the story begins, I think, at least where we're going to begin it, is Parsifal is a young man who lives with his mother deep in the woods, away from civilization. And in fact, that's where she wanted it to be, because her husband had been a knight and was killed in some battle or another. You know how knights are. And so she wanted nothing to do with any of that court, the court dramas and battles and all of that. And so she just took refuge in the woods with her young son. And the son was apparently young enough that he didn't know any better. But he grew up to be this young man. And he was out in the woods, one day. And he saw what he thought were three angels. They were knights in their shining armor that he took as angels. But then he realized, they're men dressed up this way, and he got really interested, and he wanted to go with them. So he went back to his mother, and she begged and pleaded for him not to go, of course. But he did. But she said, just don't cause trouble. Don't cause trouble. Try to stay out of, stuff. Because her heart was broken that he was leaving. But he left. So he went. There are lots of other adventures that he has, and then becomes a part of Arthur's court, King Arthur's court, because of some of these adventures and defeats. And he kind of has this hapless figure who keeps winning. It's like the fool in the tarot. And so he becomes a part of the Arthur's court, and their quests, the quest for the Grail, along with whatever other things the knights were, doing nightly, were nightly, doing nightly things, so he's on this quest, and and of course, didn't Parsifal come across this suddenly? This in this clearing, there's a castle there that he hadn't seen before, and so he goes in. He's welcomed. He learns that this castle is ruled by a wounded king, and the wounded king rules over a wasteland where the waters have dried up and the lands are parched. But as I said, Parsifal is welcomed there. So, so come evening, there's this tremendous banquet, and there's all of this food laid out, and suddenly everything stops, and there's a procession of women coming in. I mean, they're carrying a number of things in the story. I think a certain type of candelabra, but there's a bleeding lance, and there's a grail, and sort of a plate or tray of some kind. And of course, he's like, and these things sort of almost float by themselves, but they're part of this procession of these women, and they pass through the hall, and he's just dying of curiosity. But he remembers, don't make trouble, don't do anything to attract attention. So he doesn't ask us questions. And so I say the procession passes through the banquet hall, and they finish their feasting, and in the with the hospitality that was common in those days, they offered him a bed, a place to stay, and so he went to sleep, a good, refreshing, deep sleep, and lo and behold, come the morning, he wakes up, and he's by himself in the meadow. The castle's gone, the people are gone. Well, what do you do? He gets back on his horse, and fortunately was still there, and starts heading, I guess, back to the Arthur's domain, and he runs into a hag on the road, and this hag just scolds him, upbraids him, what a fool he is, because she knew you have questions. If you'd have asked your questions, it would have healed the king and his land and restored the Grail. Because the thing was, the Grail would appear and disappear. And, these are stories. So he's shamed by this, of course, but goes back and sets out again, returns to the quest. And it's an interesting thing, I think, the word quest and question, how close they are. And in his questing, and again, there are a lot of other adventures that happen in the way. We only have so much time. He comes across the castle again, and once more he's welcomed in, and there's the banquet as before, and everything stops, and the procession proceeds in, and with the bleeding lance and the Grail and these other things, and this time he asks the questions, because he's either got to listen to his mother or that old hag, and so I guess he decided the old hag had better advice this time. So he asks his questions. Why does the lance bleed? Whom does the Grail serve? What do these wonders mean? And so the king is healed, and the land is restored, and the Grail is restored, whatever that means. So it didn't disappear. So there was this, something was healed in this. And so the Grail remained then as a source of refreshment, and whatever the Grail represents. That's open to a lot of interpretation. Now, the interesting thing in the stories, we're not given the answers. It's not the answers that satisfy the quest. It's the questions. The questions are healing and restorative. So what does that mean for us? You know, what kind of a story is this? They put everything around this curiosity and all this, what does this mean? And then they don't tell you. They just tell you to keep asking. So, as I say, what does that, so what? What does that mean for us? You know, how can we use that story here? Well, does anybody have any ideas? I have some ideas. Anybody else have an idea of what this is for us? I think Tom gave us some stuff in the book about it. Well, what we're going to use, we're going to use this, we're going to use the story as a grail from which we're going to try to partake some refreshment. Maybe some illumination, maybe just some confusion. We'll see. So I'm taking this whole thing with the Grail. There are lots of avenues to approach it, and I'm going to approach it from the sense of these questions, meaning, who are you? What are you here for? What does your life mean? A few simple questions. As you saw, if you read the text, Tom transposes or reinterprets the Grail questions into these personal inquiries to ask, why does my life bleed? Whom or what does my life serve? What does my life mean? Now, these are the questions and our quest this evening. Now, there are endless ideologies that will tell you who you are, who or what you're to serve, and what your life means. And I think that's cheap and easy. They might be correct. I'm not saying they're wrong, but that's cheap and easy. What we're doing, our quest, is to look to our spirit resources to seek out the answers. Well, to explore the questions as we seek the answers, whether we get answers or not. So, it's in our materialistic and highly cognitive culture. If we have a question, we want closure. We want an answer. It doesn't have to be right. We just want an answer. Just give me a damn answer. There. And again, reference our politics. And lots of crazy answers um, going on. And so these questions are our quest. Now gonna suggest. I'm thinking what we should do. I'm gonna talk about the journeys, because what I have in mind is like a almost a triple journey, or three journeys right together, with very little break in between. So I'm going to talk about it and kind of explain how. I hope we can do that, and then we'll take a break, because I think it'll be good to be like fresh, because the journeys are going to be at least 15. The whole journey, not each one, will be at least anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And you don't want to have all my words in your head when you're doing that, or have other bodily things that need attending to. So in this triple journey, what I'll be suggesting. Well, first, before I'm like running on here, like I'm in a race or something. Are there comments, thoughts, or questions about any of this Grail stuff? No. Okay.
I'll just say that when I kind of read this earlier, I thought to myself, well, this is just basically who, what, and why without the when.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel. Thanks. Yeah, I
I had
get
a
all.
quick question.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, get all those other words out of the way.
I thought I read in his book that it's where does my life bleed? But I think you said why does my life bleed? That really is two different things, I
I think
think.
it was the other way around. I think it wasn't his. His was why does my life bleed? And then I added the or where.
Where? Yeah. I like the where because
Yeah.
that's a good question. Where do we put our attention?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because some people, especially if we're sort of uncertain or that concept of our bleeding life may not have meaning. Um, but if you think about it as energy, you know, where does my life bleed energy? Where does that's another way to approach the question.
Well,
Or
is bleeding a pejorative?
uh, it's a diminishment.
Okay.
Okay, think of it. You could phrase it as what diminishes my life, what reduces my vitality, um, or what sucks away the life force, that the vitality that would energize me. Because we have to go through life spending the energy that we have. I mean, that's why we eat, isn't it? Well, other than the sensory pleasure of it. It's because we have to replenish the energy that we're using to stay alive and to move and to accomplish things. So, you can think of it that way. And also in that the question of in the stories, it's usually whom does the Grail serve, and I added or what does the Grail, you know, for me, whom does my life serve, or what does my life serve? Because there may not be a whom, another person or being necessarily. I mean, it could be, or I'm sure a nun would have her answer, or a priest would have his answer of who their life's to serve. But we may have another source of our service. Okay? And then that other open question, what does my life mean? Do we ever get a final answer to that? I don't think so. I mean, I'd be suspicious of the person that says, I've got it. This is the answer. Well, it may be the answer right now. Doesn't mean it's inaccurate. But, hold to it loosely. Premature closure is not a good thing. Stay open to the mystery. Is, I think, what somehow sort of what Tom suggests. And so what I'll be suggesting in this is that we gather our helpers and first travel to the lower world to ask our spirit animal ally, why does my life bleed? Or where do I lose energy? Okay. And ask around there. Okay, and then so that'll be just like a regular journey. I'll do the callback, and then just leave a few minutes of silence, so you can make whatever notes you'd like, and then without further ado, we'll gather again with our helpers and travel in the middle world to ask a river or a tree or a mountain or some other natural feature or the spirit of a wise person. It's whoever you can find. Now, you may have an intention. That's fine. Or you may just go, looking there. And ask, what or whom does my life serve? And I'll do the callback. And each time, by the way, I'll re-instruct you of what's next. So you don't have to remember all of this. And so then, like before, then we'll gather with our helpers and travel to the upper world to ask a teacher there, what does my life mean? Now, we may or may not get a clear answer. We may be told something, we may be shown something, we may be given an experience of something. You may start in the lower world and they may take you somewhere else. It's okay.
Can I ask
Go
a
with them.
question?
Don't confine yourself to my instructions. And not that this group has ever had that as a problem, I think.
Can I
Follow
clarify something?
Pardon?
Can I clarify?
Yeah.
So far, I mean, obviously, guideline, right? But so far, our instructions, it's one question per place, or
Yeah.
all three questions in each place? Okay.
One question per place, so kind of divided up
Mm-hmm.
in the lower, middle, and upper worlds.
Thank you.
Yeah. But as I said, if they take you somewhere else, go with it. Follow the spirit. Now, Aaron brought up another wrinkle here that could happen. Suppose you get suppose I've sent you to get a certain answer here, but the other answer comes. That's okay. You really have to be open to that moment, the moment of revelation. So you consider, like when we do the directions, we're starting with a story in the west, then we're going into the darkness of the north, and then hopefully getting some sort of the opening eye to a revelation of some idea in response to the question. So, like I said, I'll remind you of the quest for each step, and then drum as usual for the first part of the journey, including the callback. And then after a little silence, so you can make notes, and hopefully sort of stay in that altered state as best you can, I'll announce the second quest and start the drumming again, come back, and ditto for the third. So, yeah. Don't let the number or the complexity of what I'm throwing at you distract you from what your spirits want to tell you. Okay. So trust that. Any questions? All right. Well, let's take a 10-minute break. You may want anything to make yourself comfortable. If you want to drink a water, or whatever. And see you back in about 10 minutes. All right, you have your traveling clothes, your walking stick. So again, I'll sort of give you a reminder, and you also have the option of sitting quietly and listening to your own inner voice. Use the method of access that's strongest for you. Use your strength, for these kinds of things. It also could happen that without journeying, your spirit animal ally or some other helper or teacher comes to you. All things are possible here. It's the, well, how I put this. This quest does not have a clearly marked path. I think it was Krishnamurti who said something to the effect that we what was it? If somebody knows the quote, let me know. About walking a path. We live in a pathless land, or we walk a pathless land. Something like that. We have a pathless path. So this is a way more like open to possibilities of means than we'd normally do. Okay. So again, the first question, clarify in your own mind which way you want to phrase the question. Why does my life bleed? Or where does my life bleed? Or where are my energy drains? Where do I lose vitality? Whatever sort of question has significance to you. Because that's going to be more important than my phrasing. Okay, so I'll drum maybe at least 6 minutes or so, and then come back to silence. to the middle world to ask a feature of nature or the spirit of a wise person, what or whom does my life serve? And of course you may, if you wish, go back to the first journey. All things are permissible here. To the middle world to ask a feature of nature or the spirit of a wise person, what or whom does my life serve? and to the upper world. What does my life mean? What does my life mean? So, what does the wonder of your life mean?
I got the most interesting answer to what or whom does my life serve?
Mm-hmm.
The other world.
Ah.
And it said, people like me, basically meaning all the rest of you, we serve the other world for humanity. And I thought about healing and beauty and artwork and Star Wars. I mean, I thought about all the ways the other world gets into ordinary reality and the effect that it has. And I kept thinking about that during the third journey. But it's just really, really interesting. So I thought y'all might want to think about that.
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote. I'd have to get the book. So, thanks, Anne.
Yeah, because I was expecting, something out of ordinary reality, nursing or healing or something like that. And here was this thing that it came out of left field for me. But on the other hand, is so obvious.
Yeah. Thanks. Anyone else? Or
Well, I had very similar to you, Anne, in that I was told that my life serves the magical and the mystical and the divine, and that I'm to look for it, to expect it, to see it, and to bring it to fruition and to talk about it. And which is, I don't share a whole lot of that with other people. So I kind of feel like you, like, oh, wow, that was kind of interesting. Yeah, to expect it too. I'm supposed to expect it, that it is here and it's happening. And it was delightful.
Wonderful. Thanks, Terry. Tom makes the point of that question tells us we're not just here for ourselves. We're here to serve something. We have a purpose, a mission, as it were. And it reminds me of the quote you may have seen by Pope Francis about the trees don't live for themselves, the rivers don't live for themselves. Each in some way provides a service to other elements of nature. Brenda, were you going to say something?
Well, I just, in terms of whom does my life serve? I mean, I also went to ordinary reality. I thought, well, I serve my family, my close friends. But what's been on my mind lately, and it popped up through this journey too, is that a responsibility to be a wise elder and a role model.
Mm.
And I mean, that doesn't really answer the question exactly, but it's what's been on my mind lately, that we are wise elders, and we do have a responsibility. I think I feel I have a responsibility to serve just people I meet and who I am with all the time, and yeah, impart my vision and knowledge sometimes
Yeah.
in an indirect way, I hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks. And you can see how, like, the third question seems to be almost an extension of the second one in some ways, or can be.
One kind of all tied together a little bit in that in the first one, really all I could see was like the shadows of individuals that were talking, but I couldn't hear them.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew they were talking, even though I couldn't really see their face, which was odd. And it kind of followed into the second one. And finally it was kind of like somebody spoke and said, you need to use your words. And that's and the third one we kind of just stayed right in with those two. So it was a little different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah. That's good advice.
Well, I followed an interesting path. It was kind of on a river path. And in my first journey, where I bled was anticipating my response to stimuli. And on the other two journeys, the lesson was to respond to the stimuli as opposed to anticipate my response to stimuli, to people, to interaction, to news, to whatever. Particularly, I think to people I come in contact with that I don't even know, and rather than anticipating how I'm going to respond to them, just kind of absorbing their energy and letting the response be authentic, as opposed to somehow pre,
Yeah, predetermined.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. That's good. Again, good advice for us all. So we're responding to the moment, and not to our previous thoughts about the moment. Yeah. See how wise you guys are?
I discovered I have no purpose in life, and that's okay.
Yeah. So it remains a mystery.
It remains a mystery.
Yeah.
I had two new helpers today.
Ah.
I had an octopus and a possum. And they both reminded me that I'm always going to be around people. I'm always going to be around more people than I want to. And I have to find time somewhere in the day to really have quiet time. And it's okay to take a nap at 3:00. And then it went on, the last one, what's the meaning of all these people? And it was like, my meaning for right now is to give hope to the sick. And I have 3 friends who are having some issues with illness. And I saw all 3 of them on top of with an eagle, and they were all sitting on them and flying all around. And I was reminded that at this time, the sky's the limit if I want it.
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. Mhm. Let me run and get that book with that quote. See if I can find it quick while you think about whether you want to say anything else. I'm gonna put my finger on this. Ah, this is being about the other world. Everything is a stream of consciousness flowing from non-ordinary reality. Everything is a stream of consciousness flowing from non-ordinary reality. This means that a tree is more than a tree, a rock more than a rock, a drop of rain more than a drop of rain. Even a pile of garbage, an automobile wreck, the atrocities on the evening news. All of these are not just events in ordinary reality. A lake may not be only a lake, or a meadow simply a meadow of flowers. Everything is a stream of consciousness flowing from non-ordinary reality. Anyway, that's from Tom's book, Yearning for the Wind. I'm rereading it, and we'll probably reread it again. Any other comments about the journeys, or even the process of journeying, or having 3 things in a row like that? Did that make it more easier, or more difficult? Or pretty much the same?
You know, after listening to all the feedback or people's experiences, um, it makes me want to do some of the journeys again because there's so many different ways. Your mindset when you go into it can reflect where you might go.
Uh-huh.
And I think will give you different responses or experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because just listening to some of the responses, I'm thinking, God, that could be me too. I mean, just
Mm-hmm.
it resonates. And so it just makes me think of that when I do that, like how closed my mind is sometimes instead of being open to the possibilities.
Uh, mm-hmm. Thank
So,
you. Yeah, thanks, Kathy.
mhm.
Yeah, that's why I often say that sometimes, when we form an egregore here. We form a certain mind. Ourselves are like we are cells in this organism of the session, for want of a better, I don't know what else you'd call it. And the stuff that comes to one of us may also really be intended for someone else. And so like Kathy says, that could be me. I mean, have had that same feeling so often, and so it's like I get so much out of hearing the journeys, and so that these journeys are for each of us individually, but also for us collectively, I think. So yeah. And of course, the recording's out there. You can always go back and redo it. Anybody else? All right. Well, so okay.
I really appreciated um, that the introduction that you gave, and then the time to come back and settle in, and then have the 3 consecutive journeys. That because I could stay in a state and didn't have to break in and out of it. So that worked well for me.
Okay, thanks. That's good. How about other people? So I kind of liked it too. I didn't have time to make notes in between because but it's okay. I can go back and listen to it again.
It was a nice experience for me.
Okay.
I like it that way too.
Oh, great. Our next session is going to be something similar. Sort of. That is, it's going to be like a 3 parts in one there. So what does this mean then for your life? What getting these revelations or these thoughts? For me, it made me feel more connected, for sure, to something, to what is. There was something both joyful and sobering about it. It like restored a center in me that I think I lost when I had that stroke. So, anybody else what this means, or how you might apply this, and there may be plenty of contemplation that needs to be done here, because these are not little questions. Okay, well, I would note too. I mean, of course, again, the Grail story has been Christianized in its modern manifestations, but when you think about the 2 symbols of the lance and the Grail, you've got the phallic symbol and the feminine symbol. So this goes way beyond any sort of a cup and spear. It's the yin and yang of life there. So, okay, well, we have, wait a second, I think I had I had something out of Tom's book here. Yeah, I think I've already made these points. We can approach these questions in the spirit of the Grail story, mindful of the old woman's remark that simply asking the questions is beneficial. We don't need answers. She reminds us that to live within the questions, to embrace the mysteries, is to find security in uncertainty. To find security in uncertainty is the way of the seeker, and we must continue to be seekers no matter what answers we find along the way. So we have to learn to live in the mystery. And there's some quote I'm trying to think. Something about respect those who seek the answers, and be suspicious of those who have found them. Okay. Well, we have one more regular session, and then in June is the one that's open to sharing your experiences of the 9 months we spent together. It's like we've had a gestation period here of 9 months, and you may give birth to a poem or a song or just some thoughts about what you've seen in the sessions, learned about yourself or your life, or your relationship with nature. And you may have a desire for something more or something else, that would be helpful or just enjoyable. And you don't have to wait till that last session to share it. I mean, you can send me an email too. It's useful information for me. And if you have nothing to say at that last session, come along anyway and be a friendly ear there. So, okay, let me do the closing ritual, and then we can just chat if you like. Excuse me. Hail to the spirits that have come on the west wind. Thank you for being here and giving us these lessons, and I think opening some visions for the future for us. But the time of parting has come. Go if you must, or stay if that be your will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you spirits that have come from the north, on the north wind, thank you for being here and sharing the mystery of being. The time of parting has come. Go if you must, or stay if that be your will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And to you spirits who have come on the east wind, thank you for being here to open the revealing eye, to show us another vision of who we are, what we're doing here. The time of parting has come. Go if you must, or stay if that be your will. Thank you. Thank you. And to you spirits that have come on the south wind, thank you for being here and giving us words to tell our stories. But the time of parting has come. Go if you must. Stay if that be your will. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And to the spirits of this place, and those that walk with us at all times, that watch over us, surround us, and support us, thank you for being here with your hospitality. The time of our parting from this circle has come. We go, but we remember you in our hearts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is finished. Okay.
Any last words for the recording?
My mind is blank.
All right.
It's been emptied, I think.
Okay.
Thanks.